Welcome to Life is All About Choices. I'm your host, Nancy Mueller, and I'm really excited to share my guest with you today because if you think that I am a positive person, wait until you hear from our guest today. Today we will be talking to Sonja Ann Jones. And Sonja, before we go any further, tell everybody who you are, what you do, and why you're so fabulous.
Sure. Well, I'm Sonja Ann Jones, and I do a multitude of things, actually. I'm an actress. I also own my own small consulting company for coaching for women to get to the next level called Nonstop for the Top. And I'm also in cybersecurity analytics and teach college.
Aw, so to say you're a little busy. I don't know
just a little bit.
I don't know how you balance all that with casting calls and, working. I don't know how you do all that, but hey, more power to you, girlfriend.
No, thank you. Yeah. No, I enjoy it. I'm married, but I don't have kids. So that frees up a lot of time for me in my personal life, as well as my husband's a musician. So he performs on the road and he has like a band as well. And so he's always working on music. So it works out. So it augments my schedule.
Fantastic. You guys make it work. That's awesome.
Yes, we're both creative types, which is great. And we're very supportive of each other. We actually call ourselves Team F. So we just got married 2 years ago.
Fantastic. That's awesome. Well,
Yeah, his
Sonja,
name's Scott. So.
when you and I were talking and we decided to do this conversation together, we were talking about your Hollywood career and how you moved from the Midwest to Los Angeles to pursue your love of acting. And we started on the conversation about how you keep your spirits up. And that's one of the things that Life is All About Choices is all about. And so what I really want to talk to you today is talking about when you show up for a casting call and you walk in the door and you're like one of 500 people for one part, how do you keep your your positivity soaring instead of walking in and going, oh, I'll never get this? Let's start there.
Well, the number one thing for sure is to do your homework, right? Be prepared for the audition. So the more confident you are in the work that you've done beforehand, the more you can throw it away and just have fun in the room. And that's part of it, because it's a competition with yourself, not with all those other people. The minute you start thinking you're competing with everyone else in the room and you get in your head, that's when you start to freak out in the room. Because I mean, I've done it before. I've gone to an audition and you get called in and you look around the room, and sometimes you'll be in an audition casting call and you'll see 20 people who look like you, right? And it makes sense that you're there. And then other times you'll go in and you'll be the one person who looks just a little bit different, and you're like, well, why did they call me in? And then you start getting in your head about it and like, well, why would I even get this part, And in reality, you just got to do your job, go in with a positive, confident attitude, do the work like you know it. And it is a numbers game, and it's really hard. And you can't also tie outcome to the performance, meaning that I want to go in and I'm going to book this job. That's the thing they teach you not to do, right? Because when you go in and say, I'm going to book this job, you put so much weight on just that job and how it affects not only, financially, or you're going to get this next part, or your career is going to soar, and you put everything on this one part. In reality, what you got to do is go in and say, I'm going to book the room. And it's creating relationships, like being able to connect with the casting directors, being able to connect with other people in the room so that they know that you not only have you done your homework and you're professional and you're fun and you're confident and you look easy to work with, but you might not be right for the part. And it might just be because, your hair's not cut right, or it's not dark enough, or you don't look like the person they're casting to. Let's say I'm, casting for, or they're casting for a role to be a mother, and I don't look like the son for some reason, right? And another actress does. Doesn't mean that you did a bad performance. It just means that you weren't right for that part. So it's making yourself confident to get back up, do it again, and realize that a lot of it is out of your control. And it's just being able to create this relationship. So the next time there's another audition, they'll call you in. I've worked with quite a few casting directors who I've auditioned for 8 times in the room for major shows, and I still haven't gotten the part. But they like me, obviously, because they keep calling you back. So that's the good thing, right?
And what I love about what you just shared is the very same thing is true when a woman or man is marketing their business. When you're an entrepreneur and you are marketing yourself, um, you can use the very same tools that you're talking about. When you walk into a room, let's say you're in a networking event and you're talking to people, it's not about going in there with the end goal, like you said, like I'm going to walk out of here with a new client or with a couple sales. You walk in to work the room, so to speak.
Yep, you walk in, work the room, and the more that you're you and you're genuine to what you sell and what you're passionate about, the more they're gonna glom onto you. And going back to the beginning of the call when you said positivity, positivity is everything. People don't want to work with people who are negative. They want people who have energy and they're smiling and upbeat and those kinds of things. So the more that you can bring that type of, your personality and hone into the things that make you and passionate about what you do and show that you are professional and competent, then people are going to work with you.
I love that. I love that because, there are so many entrepreneurs out there and they feel like they're vying for attention, or I have to be the loudest or the biggest or wear the most flashy clothes or whatever. And it's really comes down to the person, your personality. And I think the same is true based on what we were talking about when you go into a casting call, because like you could go in and maybe have on a red shirt, and for some reason the director or whoever is doing the calls that day is like, no, I just had it in my mind today that somebody would walk in a blue shirt and that would be it. And so if we are constantly trying to outthink or outguess or outmaneuver or outmanipulate someone else, it's exhausting.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You can't satisfy or give what you think that they're going to like, because it just ends up compromising you as a person and your performance, right? You have to be who you are in the room, in that part, and sell that, and not just give them what you think they like, because you probably are guessing wrong anyway. So why not just stick to what you're confident at, right? And what you do and what makes you you. And that's what happens. And it is a numbers game. It's like 3,000 people apply for a role. They narrowed down maybe to 100. I'll give you some numbers. I went in for a commercial, a very prominent phone commercial that could have probably changed my life if I would have got the deal. But it was 3,000 people applied for the role. They narrowed it down to 100, and I made it through the first. I got to audition. Then I made it into the callback section. It was 20. Then I made it again to the cut, and there was only 4 of us, or 5 of us, I think. And we walked in, and then they made their choice, and I didn't get the part. Now, does that make me a bad actress, or should I be down on myself? No. I got to the point where, oh my gosh, 3,000 people applied for this, and I was one of 5 at the end. In the end, I don't get any pay from it, but internally, I know that I'm on the right track, that I'm getting closer and closer and closer and closer. So I just have to keep my positivity up, my confidence up, and then hopefully the next time I book it.
And that's such a huge success. I mean, like you were a top 4 out of 3,000 people. I mean, that's huge. That's what we should be concentrating on, not I didn't get the part.
Yeah, exactly.
So, okay, so we know
Or even
that.
having the confidence to try, because sometimes people don't even give themselves the or the kudos for even trying and putting themselves out there. Because it could have been to the point where I'll give you another good example. I went out for another major sporting commercial this summer, and it didn't really align with who I was a fan of. But I thought, I'll go anyways and just see what the heck. And I wasn't going to actually submit for it. I submitted for it, and not only did I get called for an audition, but I got called into 2 rounds of callbacks, and I almost booked it. It was a national commercial. But if I wouldn't have even put myself out there, I wouldn't have got it, And that's the same with anything that you do. I recently just did a pageant, and it didn't go, like I had planned it, to win the pageant, but I put myself out there in an uncomfortable position. I didn't feel like I was, maybe the most fit person that I could be, but I did it anyway, right? And I put myself out there. I learned a lot. I met a lot of people. I gained some more confidence about myself again, because I had been through some challenges over the last couple of years. And I'm just overall glad that I did it, right? And then I've seen my confidence soar in so many other things, right? So maybe that one thing is not meant to be, but because you do it and you put yourself out there, you gain so much more just from the experience and getting that confidence to apply it to something else.
Right. I agree. So often we think like, oh, I want to go after that. That's my goal. But when we're so focused on the goal, we're missing all of these things along the way, all of these signs, all of these opportunities. And maybe the goal is simply to go in that direction so that you'll pass this. But if you are so focused on that end goal, you're going to totally miss it.
Yep, exactly. I mean, that's with everything, right? I mean, how many times have you even heard where people are focused on finding their mate, right? And the whole time it ends up being someone that's close to them, or sometimes you've heard these stories, right? And they're so focused on finding this person, and then they end up finding out, and they open their eyes and start looking at the world a little differently. All of a sudden they realize that person's their mate, right? So there's all these things where if you've got this tunnel vision, you need to get out of it, and you need to be open to a lot of different things. Because you never know how it's going to change your life.
So, Sonja, let's just say that you decided to move from the Midwest, go to Hollywood, become a star. So you did all that. Your life is perfect. You've never had any challenges. You're doing the American dream, and there's nothing to worry about, right?
No, I wish. That would be nice. No, actually, since I've left Minnesota and I moved to California, I've probably had the most challenges I've ever had in my entire life since I've lived here. Various things that have happened to me along the way, and challenges, and I've learned a lot about myself. And I'm kind of glad in a way that I just even did that, right? Because I've grown so much as a person. Because actually, my acting teacher at the time used to tease me all the time because we would do this Meisner technique, and she's like, quit smiling, be negative, have some different emotions and things like that. And she would actually tease me, and I'm like, well, I'm just a happy person. I've had a happy life. And literally I came here and a lot happened to me, and it's like, wow, now I could be a better actor.
And that's it exactly.
I've learned to adjust.
That's it exactly, right? You're taking what you've learned in life or what you've experienced in life, and instead of allowing it to pull you down the negative rabbit hole, you're saying, oh, how can I use this for my craft? Or what can I learn from this? Or what was given to me, what was gifted to me to further me on my journey. And that is such a positive way to look at life.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like it sets you up for the next thing too. And sometimes you don't even know the reason why, and then you find out later on the reason why. I had a couple health things happen to me, and unfortunately in 2015 I almost wasn't here anymore. And because I had a pulmonary embolism after a surgery, and I almost died. And after that I realized, wow, okay, I am looking at life a whole different way now, right? Like what I want to accomplish, who do I want to spend my time with, what do I want to do, where I want to focus my energies, all of these things. But in the end, I realized that I want to help other people, more than I ever did before, just because I know how bad it is to get to that point where, almost everything is taken away from you, right? And how do you rebuild that? And how do you get back into the zone of life, right? After something like that happens to you. And that's why I love to be the positive message and appreciate every single moment of every single day, because you just don't know when it's your last moment, on this earth. And that's why I post a positive quote every day, and that's why I help people when they want help, because that 6 degrees of separation from Kevin Bacon, that's really a true thing, because literally you're 6 degrees away from anything that you want in this world. You just have to ask, right? And put yourself out there. And it's funny because I think now you're 3 degrees of separation from Kevin Bacon, because I'm 2.
There you go. All right.
But no, that's my point though. You face these challenges, you have to get through them, and then it changes your outlook, and it changes who you are as a person. If you let it change you in a positive way, it's healthy. If you let it change you in a negative way, that can really destroy you. So it's like making a choice, because you said that at the beginning of this interview, right? It's all about choices.
Right.
Are you going to change it for the good, or are you going to change it for the bad? And that's what I try to do. I change it for the good. So based off what I've been through.
So when you were in the hospital, and as you said, you had a totally different outlook on life after that, you started realizing who you want to hang out with more. One of the questions that I get a lot from people is, how do you stop, say, hanging around or distance yourself from family or friends without feeling guilty? Did you have that challenge?
Well, I've always surrounded myself with people in my life that I really love to be with, so I haven't really had that much of a challenge. But there is times like when you are with people that you don't really have the choice, like people that you work with, or people that you're exposed to, and different kinds of groups and things like that. I'm fortunate because in my work now, I love everybody I work with, right? And some of my past employers, I wasn't so lucky. But it's like being able to spend your time, your focus, and your energy towards people who lift you up rather than bring you down is what's super important. And I feel that concentration on that and who you get that energy from is who you should spend the majority of your time with. So you choose like who your best friends are, and who does that for you, and who's your support system, and who gets you, when you're down and picks you up. I mean, we all go through our moments. I have a friend, she's hilarious. I was a little down, because I'm just human like anybody else, struggling with another health thing 2 years ago. And then I had lost my mother-in-law, and a bunch of things just happened all at once. And I was, in front of the TV watching Lifetime movies and eating ice cream with a spoon more than I should be. And my girlfriend called me out on it, and she said, "Put down the spoon already." So I mean,
Back away
we
from
all
the spoon.
back away from the spoon. And she would call me and just tell me that, and it's people like that you need in your life, that what you're feeling, what you're going through, that is going to lift you up. And I try to do that with my friends as well. And I'm in tune with them, when things are going on, and I reach out to them, if they need assistance in anything, or even just to say a note, like just to say happy birthday, or just to say, I appreciate you, thanks for all that you do for me. All of that just goes a long way. And I think if more people did that in this world, I think we'd be so much further along as a society, because a lot of people look at WIFM, which is what's in it for me, yeah. Right? In reality, it's not what's in it for you, it's what's in it for others. And we're here to serve other people, in my opinion. And from that, you get back, right? Because not like you're intentionally doing that, right. But it comes around full circle, and you're putting positivity out there, and you're building, your network, right? In that aspect. So I don't ever think of it like that. I don't want it to be what's in it for me, right? And even in sales, or even as an actress, when you step on the set, I'm there as a part of the production, right? I'm there to help get the producer to see, and the director to see their vision, from beginning to end. How am I going to serve that purpose, right? I'm going to play that character. I'm going to do what you asked me to do. I'm going to, and also collaborate in ways that I feel like maybe bring more to the character, right? But it's not about me, and it's not about me being a star of the movie. It's not about me being famous. It's not about any of that, right? It's about serving the story, getting it from point A to point B, to the end, and then also being that character that affects other people, that watch that story. So like if you're watching a story and it's something about, just an example, a story about a family that is dealing with cancer, right? You're bringing that story home, that everybody else can relate to that story that has been through that process. So that's my big thing, and that's probably one of my big pet peeves. And when I actually in the acting world, when I see people who go in there and that's all they care about, right? They just want to be famous, and they don't really get it. Right. And for me, it's not about that. For me, it's about serving the story and being of service to other people to get the job done.
And not only that, but, when you find what you're really passionate about and you do more of it, like part of my mission is to have daily conversations that motivate, inspire, and empower others. So obviously these interviews that I do on my YouTube channel is part of my mission. So, at the end of the day, if you sit down and you journal at the end of the day and you say, okay, so what did I do today that really propelled me, life forward? What really got me going? What really made me happy? How do I feel like I really contributed to my life and the lives of others? And when you have things to write down and you're living your purpose and your passion and your mission, it, there's just no better way to live.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. And that's the reason why I gave up everything that I knew in Minnesota to move to California, because I knew deep down my passion was to do acting or be, I've always envisioned myself as being someone who's of service to, like, even women in general, because that's also been the thing I've been an advocate for my entire career, right? Women in technology, women in entertainment, women in business, getting them to the next level and getting past the whole, I can't make the same dollar amount as a man. I can't get the same opportunities as a man, right? Yes, those things exist, but you can make yourself, prepared in that aspect from a professional way to help get you to that next level, right? And then by networking and all those other things. And I want to be an advocate for women in that sense, and that's why I think it's so great that those new initiatives have come out recently, to help women, right, to get to those next levels, because that's something I'm very passionate about. In addition to being passionate about my acting and my creativity and those types of things. So at the end of the day, if you're doing your passion, you never work a day in your life, right?
Yeah,
Because
that's
people tell
exactly
me all the
right.
time, they're like, are you gonna retire? And I'm like, no, I'll probably never retire, right? I'll retire in the sense of maybe corporate America, because I augment, like everybody, you have to pay the bills. Augment, through other passions I like sales and things like that. But at the end of the day, if I retire, when I'm 55, 60, 65, whatever, I'm still never going to be fully retired, because I'm going to be acting, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
this is something that fuels me, that I love to do. I'm always going to be helping people, whether it's from a volunteer standpoint or whether it's a job that helps service people, from a paid aspect. I'm always going to be doing that because I just love to do it. I mean, I have a pretty good following on Instagram. I've been trying to grow that, but I'll get contacted on my entertainment channel. I'm Sonja Ann Jones, and I have like 16,000 followers right now. And randomly, I just get people texting me right on there. They're like, I'm so excited about seeing your entertainment career, right? And they're like, how would I get started? How do I get headshots? And I answer every single person that contacts me, because I think it's important that sometimes if one person just helps you that little bit, or just believes in you that little bit and gives you that push, it's amazing what can happen in your life.
I agree. And, one of my mentors is Jack Canfield. And I'll never forget the first time that I ever saw him in person. Um, this is what I thought I was going to do. I thought I was going to walk up to him and just put my hand out in this very, like, I am so secure in who I am thing. And just thank him for the work that he does and let him know that it's really impacted my life. Have him sign my book and take a picture. What actually happened was I walked up to him, put out my hand, and started crying. Just ugly crying, like ugly crying. Man, I guess just all the emotions of just gratitude, and just feeling so abundant to be there just can't, like, sprung up in me, and just like Niagara Falls, man, it just kept coming out. But what was so interesting, that meant so much to me, and I remember it every single day. Jack reached out and he put his hand on my shoulder and he said, "It's okay. You obviously have something really important to say to me. I'll wait." He said, "I always take time to talk to people before I speak. I don't have time to speak to everyone, but the people I do speak to, they have my undivided attention." And I
Oh,
never forgot that. I mean, that man walks his talk. And I have modeled what I do after that, so there are people that come into our lives that impact us and teach us really valuable lessons that we can either take as our own, or not pay attention to the lesson. But I really learned something valuable that day. And I think it's wonderful that you take the time to answer everyone, because you don't know, that you have some young hopeful in Kansas, or I don't know, Australia, that is saying, oh my gosh, if I write to this person, will she write back to me? And you could just be making their day.
Yeah. I mean, it happened to me. Going back to, your role models and your mentors. One role model I've had my whole life that I aspire, because of who he is as a person and how he treats his fans, is Rick Springfield. I know it's crazy. People laugh at me all the time. That's actually his guitar in the background.
Oh, cool.
But he has just been an inspiration to me, and I started watching him on General Hospital when I was like 12 years old, and I was like, that was one of my goals, was to be on that show, and I made it happen. I've been on it, and I'm going to be working on it again here shortly, so I'm very excited. But when I approached him and I met him for the first time, he said, don't ever give up on your dream. Just keep going for them. And that meant everything to me. And then I've met him on numerous occasions since then. And he's been so supportive of me. And I even got to go on, I go on all his fan trips too. Most of it. I'm not crazy, but I just like being around him, because he's such a positive energy. And he's 70 years old, and he's still out there doing it because it's his passion to perform and to make people happy, And so anyways, I went on one of his fan trips, and one of my dreams has always been to act with him. And he actually offered like an acting class for fun as one of the activities. And so I got to act with him. And when he told me that I was very talented, that just made my entire existence.
See there?
Because that was my passion. I mean, that's been my passion the whole time. And to know that he's been the inspiration for me doing that. I mean, I also have Sandra Bullock, who I've not met, who I'm putting it out there. I would love to meet her as well.
All right, we're going to put that out there.
She's my favorite girl actress. And then, but then, with Rick, it's just been amazing. And it's just gotten so great. Now my other goal is to work in a professional production with him, but he's inspired me, because for me, he can do so much. Like, and he's one of those ones that is about passion, right? Like he will never retire, because he's passionate about what he does. He loves to write. He loves to do music. He loves to act. He loves to just create and put it out there and make people feel good. And when you meet him, he treats every fan the same, no matter where they come from, no matter how old they are, how young they are, whatever ethnicity, or whatever their background is. He treats everyone equally, and I've never seen anything different. And I've just been impressed with him, because if more artists and more people who have been in the limelight work like him, I would just, the world would be a better place.
There you go.
I just think it's great how he treats everybody. So you can see I get excited about it. So
Jack has this anagram, BHAG, a big, hairy, audacious goal. And he said, we need to have these Behags in our life. And so one of my Behags was to share the stage with Jack. And it happened, because when you know that this is what you're meant to do and you put it out there, the universe will find a way to bring what you want into your reality. And so when it happened, afterwards, I had the microphone and I said to the audience, one of my goals was to share the stage with Jack, and here I am. And what he said after that was really interesting, though, too. He said, yes, but you had to do the work, right? I had to get myself there. I had to, do the work on me that I needed to do to be able to be there. And that's what you did as well. Your goal, your BHAG, was to be with Rick Springfield. But if you had done nothing and just sat in front of the TV and said, oh, I wish, that wouldn't have happened.
Right, exactly. And congratulations to you, by the way, doing that. That's amazing, too, that you get to be with him. That's so cool. It's such a cool feeling when you get to experience that and actually, achieve your goal that you set out to do. But yeah, no, you don't sit back and just, kind of wish it to happen. You have to make it happen. And I mean, I did so much. I mean, I was constantly, inundating the casting director. I sought him out, to try to take classes, do all these things and work on myself as an actress and come back, again, because you can always, like, as an actress, you always have to be in class. You have to always be learning because it's just something that makes you better, right? And I do that, and I have a great class now that I'm in with my manager, who's amazing. I love who I work with. But yeah, it totally gets you to the point where you're tapped into those areas which help you propel, forward. But it's the little steps, and people don't think about that, right? It's like breaking it up, and because it seems so overwhelming, and it's just like, think about it like cleaning your house, right? Sometimes, even if you want to like declutter it or whatever, sometimes it's like you look at the whole project and it's just like, oh my God, I can never do this. This is just too much, right? No, you end up saying, okay, I'm going to start here today and I'm going to spend 2 hours, taking care of this. Then tomorrow I'm going to spend 2 hours taking care of that. And all of a sudden, in a month's time, everything's decluttered, right? The way you want it. Or it's the same as, what we've done, right? We like, how are we going to make that happen? What's our 6 degrees of separation to the people that can make these things happen for us? What do I have to do? Like you said, work on myself. What aspects, how do I help myself training wise, personality wise, networking wise, all these types of things to put us in that position. And it's not what they call luck. A lot of people say, oh, they're just lucky.
Right.
No, you can create your own luck. Yes, there's some luck involved, but it's also putting yourself in an aspect where you're prepared and ready in the room with the right folks at the right time, and then that's where luck comes from, right? And then being open to those opportunities when they happen.
Absolutely. So tell me, what would you suggest to someone watching this? And let's say they want their biggest goal, their BHAG is to, break into Hollywood, to be an actor or an actress. What would you suggest they concentrate on?
First off, be prepared, because you definitely need to have the skill set, right? I like to think of it as 3 things, really. One is you have to have the chop, right, as far as the skill set, to be an actress. So if you don't have them, take classes, learn everything that you can to actually learn the craft of acting. The second thing would be focusing on your network, right? Like who do you know, who knows who? If you don't know them, how do you get to know them? How do you reach out? How do you know if you know people who know people that can actually put you in that? LinkedIn is perfect for that. All social media now, it makes it a lot easier than it ever used to be, where you can actually do that reach out. And then the last thing is like really learn business, right? And I think that the actors who know those 3 things and also understand the realm of business are more successful than the ones that just do acting to do acting. And the reason why I say that is because acting is a business, right? When you're on set, if you're not prepared, you're costing the production money, right? Where they're losing money on a daily basis. And that's why casting is literally to hire people, and then it's hard to get in the door because they want to know that if they put you there, that you're not only confident, you're easy to work with, but you're also not you're gonna go in, get it done, 1 or 2 takes, and you're not gonna have to cost the production money, right? Or you're not gonna be late, or you're not gonna, all those professional things to think about. And then it also comes down to like, advertising yourself, putting yourself out there, in a positive way, making sure you have a positive image on social media, that your resume looks good, that your headshots look good, having all your marketing materials put together. And then also just, conducting business things. Maybe on the side you decide, oh, I'm going to do my own short film, right? And how am I going to market it? How am I going to produce it? How am I going to finance it? How am I going to put in? I've done that before. I've done my own webisode series. I've done, things that have, helped me learn the business of acting from the other side of the lens, so to speak. So that way I get it, right? And I get the lingo and I understand what's going on. And I've volunteered, and I've even been a reader. I've been a casting director. I've done it all, right? So that way it gives you a vision of the whole process rather than just the acting piece, because then you can better walk the walk, talk, and do the talk.
That is very valuable information because, when we only see things from one side, like, well, this is how I see that I need to show up, when we can only see it from our side, and then other people might get frustrated with us. We think it's something about us and we can get very defensive or frustrated, but actually we're just not stepping into their shoes and experiencing how they need us to be in a role or in a work situation or career situation, or even having a conversation with someone. So that's really valuable information, I think, on all
Yeah.
walks of life.
I have friends too who are like I have a friend personally that's doing his own movie right now, and I help volunteer to be casting for him and doing things on set I'd never done before, but I did it just to learn, and I was like the slate girl, and I did all these cool things. But he actually put himself too in the opposite side. He is a director and a producer, and he put himself into acting classes so he could better understand how an actor thinks, right? So that way when he's on set, he can give them better direction. So it's because it's a collaboration at the end of the day, and it's all
Right.
about a project coming together. It's just like a football team, right? The people who end up winning the Super Bowl every year isn't necessarily got the best players per se, but it's the camaraderie that works together and the communication and how they play together and all of that that makes it a success. And that's the same thing with all these, entertainment projects as well.
Exactly. So you said you do coaching as well. I don't know how you find time for all this, but you do coaching as well.
Yes, I do. I do coaching as well because I'm a big advocate for women in regards to getting equal opportunity, equal pay, and being able to advance their career. So I help women get to that next level. So if they need help with, their image, or they need help with their resume, or they need help with, getting the confidence to interview. So for instance, I'll give you an example. One of my friends who was a customer of mine, she was afraid to go for an interview at a company, and she already knew the people. She had a shoe in, and I'm like, well, why are you even nervous about this? They all like you already. It's a promotion. You should just go do it. And she ended up listening to me, and I gave her a little bit of coaching, and she ended up going for the interview, and she got a call back, or like a call back. She got a second interview. And so she went in and went for the second interview, and she ended up getting the job. And it
Woo!
changed her.
Yes.
She got to see the world. She was traveling to different places. She was like at a higher level, making better pay and benefits and all that kind of stuff. I love that kind of thing. I love helping people, and I just get little goosies over it because for me, it's all about giving somebody a chance, right? In getting them to the next level. And I'll give you another example too, but it's not necessarily for my coaching business, but just in general as me being a human being, and I think that other people should be like this, is when I did the pageant, I went to this thing called Feed My Starving Children. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but
I
it's
haven't.
a charity where they end up making packets of food. They call it mana, and you get in a workstation with a bunch of other people, and you can donate your time. So you get a group of 10 people together, 5 people together, whatever. You just show up, you volunteer, and you make these packets of food. And then they end up sending it to, different countries that, where people are not getting fed and that they're starving, right? And it's amazing what you can do in 1 hour and how much you can package. We ended up just our table alone packaged like 20 boxes of food. And this goes back to another story you were saying, how you're just bawling. I was just bawling this whole time. Like afterwards, when I seen the impact that we had, I just could not stop crying. And they were showing pictures of these children who were like so malnourished and starving that one of them that they showed a picture of, they threw this kid down a well because the mom knew that she couldn't take care of him anymore and that he was just going to die anyway. So she just threw him down the well, and someone else found him, and they brought him to this organization, Feed the Starving Children. And they ended up he ate the same meal every single day just from this bag. And they showed the difference of how much he transformed over
Oh,
that 1 year, and then over the 2 years, over the 3 years. This kid who was supposed to die in a well ends up now wanting to be the president of his country.
oh
And
my
so for me,
gosh.
yeah, and imagine that impact that that kid's gonna have, like that if he does end up becoming president of his country, you know?
Exactly.
And for me, like I said, I could not stop. The tears were just like totally, coming. And so that's what I like to do in my part-time too, is just help, and if I know that, because we're so fortunate every day, with all a lot of people are, right? And they just, they don't realize how blessed they are and how fortunate they are, that to even have a house, or to even have multiple rooms, or even have, these things that are given to them on a daily basis, that some people don't even have a chance in life, right? So if you give that hand out to help that one person that one day, you know what I mean? You never know how you're going to impact someone or change their life.
That is so
So,
true. Sonja, thank you. Oh my gosh, that message just really touched me. And I'm sure everyone listening to this is going to be very touched by that as well. Sonja, tell people how they might get a hold of you or connect with you, please.
sure. So you can find me on any social media. I've got the same handle, so Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, at I am Sonja Ann Jones. So I am SONJAANNJONES. Or you can just reach out on my website. I'm actually in development of my new website right now, which I'm very excited about, web developer. But it will be SonjaAnnJones.com. So you can find me there as well. And I have a newsletter you can sign up for. But like I said, that's coming out. It's like a template right now. But yeah, so I'm very excited about that. So that's probably the best ways to get a hold of me, is through social media right now. But eventually all that stuff is coming. And then I'm on IMDb as well. So if you look up IMDb and just type in my name, Sonja Ann Jones, you'll see me there.
There
So
you go.
I would love if you did that.
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. I'm just so happy, and I feel so blessed that the universe brought us together. And I just know that, you know, I feel the 5-year-old little girl inside of me doing the happy dance, like we're going to be friends forever, and I'm so blessed to have you in my life and to have this conversation with you. And I know that anyone who watches this segment is really going to be touched in some way. Maybe you won't even realize it as you're listening to our discussion, but it will do something with your energy. It has to. And you know why? It's because you were attracted to it for a reason. Everything happens for a purpose. So if you were attracted to this video based on the description, the names, Sonja, whatever it is, you were meant to hear this message. So thank you so much for sharing time with us, for being here, and get out there and do everything you can to make your life the best life possible. And in the meantime, this is Nancy Mueller saying ciao for now.